Alright, here I'm just gonna shoot a short video. I haven't made one in forever involving any of my knives. Here's a blade I've been working on. This is more of a learn from my mistakes. See, this is why you take all the steps of the people who actually know what they're doing and talking about to you. Forged this out, the anvil. I did grind those out with a grinding wheel and such and smooth them out. And while I was sanding it out, doing pretty much all my sanding by hand, all I have is a little 1x30 inch belt sander. So most all the work's by hand. I noticed, not really gonna be able to see it, but I screwed up the tempering. Well, actually, it was the heating, the heat treat when hardening. Where I went wrong, normally I have no trouble with this. Is spring steel. Made several knives with it, leaf spring, and quenched it with water without any trouble. Normally what I do is, like most of the people who on YouTube that know what they're talking about will tell you to normalize the blade 3 times. And by normalize, I mean bring it up to temperature, let it air cool by itself. That helps relieve a lot of the stress. Do it 3 times. If you don't know what it is exactly, because pretty sure it's 5160 steel, but it might not be. You know, should always try to quench it in oil first, and if that doesn't work, then try water. Shouldn't try water first. But I'd made several knives quenching them in water, and usually, you know, I'd been pretty successful after normalizing it 3 times and being very careful to make sure I put the blade in perfectly straight. I've got a convention coming up, MonsterCon, little horror convention. No, not little. It was actually quite successful. First year in South Carolina was last year, and then this year numbers look like they're going to be even better. So I was kind of in a hurry. I only normalized it once, which was mistake number 1. Mistake number 2 was quenching it in water instead of oil. Like I said, I had been pretty successful doing it with several other knives when I really shouldn't have been doing it. But, you know, after doing all the normalizing of it and everything, I'm getting it in perfectly straight. I seem to be doing just fine. So I went ahead and, being lazy, instead of getting some actual oil to quench it in, I went ahead and just used my bucket of water, which was mistake number 2. And mistake number 3, which wasn't an intentional one, it was just one of those things that happens, was I didn't quite get it in perfectly straight. Caused it to bend to one side. So I started everything over again, normalized it back up, then I brought it up to another heat, straightened it out because it was bent too much to actually try to straighten it out without heating it. I mean, it was quite bent. Hammered it back out straight, normalized it 3 times. You know, did pretty much a sand down to get the basic idea. Everything looked fine. I didn't hear a tink of it cracking. But then again, I've got very bad hearing, so there's a good chance any tinks I might not have heard anyways. But so then did my tempering it down. After heating it, everything seemed like it was going to be good. As I was sanding it down, before I actually got it this polished, I know you're not going to be able to see it on my crap camera, but yeah, there's no way I'm going to focus it. I found a few actual very tiny, but they're there. There's one running this way, and one running back that way. And over here, right above this spot, there's one coming across here. Cracks. So I decided, well, you know what? I'll just bring it as an example of my piece. So I went ahead and finished sanding it down and polishing it up. Got a nice shine to it, but I'm not going to bother putting a handle on it or sharpening it because it's a busted piece. I may eventually put a handle on it, sharpen it, and keep it myself. I actually do like it. Putting these on was a bit of a win. I do like it. So I might put it on it and see how much abuse it can take while having those little hairline fractures in it. So, you know, ended up losing a lot of time that I put into it. You know, good bit of coal on my forge, and a decent size. You know, this was probably actually about here before I started tapering everything out, but still, decent sized piece of that spring leaf. I mean leaf spring, not spring leaf, leaf spring steel. So a decent sized piece of steel all ended up going to waste because I decided to do two things that intentionally that I damn well knew better. And then one was just a general screw up. So here's just to learn from my mistake type of situation, and hopefully you don't end up in the same spot where I am with something that would have actually turned out to be quite a nice blade being a useless letter opener. Alright, you guys have a good one, and bye.